Whoa, I know what you're thinking. That wasn't a bull bucking to rock and roll. Those were quarter horses running to a nice, subtle Tejano guitar solo. That's because, folks, you are officially here in the first episode of what we are going to call the Caballero Corral, where we're going to be doing Caballero specific content. And we're doing this episode because we got news on the league, we got open tryouts, we got players being signed. So we got some Caballero news. We're going to do our best to bring you Caballero news on this channel. If you're watching this on United Football Media channel, this episode we're coming to you from the Horse Corral. And what we're going to do is we're going to have two playlists. So there'll be a playlist for the Brahma Bullpen, and then there'll be a playlist for Caballero Corral. So if you're watching this and you want to see Brahmas coverage, just switch playlist and vice versa. If you're a Brahmas person, you want to see some Caballero breaking news, switch over to the Caballero Corral. What do you think about that, producer?
Good to offer content on both teams. Good to be here with new graphics, new show, and so we're hoping that we can satisfy everybody's appetite that's looking for Caballero content.
There you go. Follow me on socials there at SA Brahma Bullpen. We'll be posting stuff for both leagues and both teams there. And we had the wonderful privilege of joining the team for an open tryout. We're going to have some highlight videos from that. And we're going to have some updates from that. But before we go any further, let's just get into the news. We're going to jump right in here into the news. So first and foremost, one of the cool things about the Caballeros is we were able to make contact with the media relations guy, the marketing guy. They're very helpful. If you follow me on social medias, I actually made a post, gave them a shout out on there. We're collaborating with the Caballero social media team on uh, Instagram. Also, we're tagging them on everything in X. A gentleman by the name of Brian uh, Bellick used to be with, believe it or not, the San Antonio Gunslingers. Now he's helping out the Caballeros in marketing, and he'll probably be helping out the Texan Pioneeros. We'll cover that as well. And we'll just go ahead and get right into it. Here's a news release. It came out February 15th. We're recording this a couple days after the news release. We posted it on socials, but we're just going to go paragraph by paragraph and just talk about it, right? You ready to go, producer?
Let's go.
All right. Well, about 3 dozen players showed up there to Somerset High School football stadium. Beautiful field. You'll see some pictures and highlights of it the other day. Me and producer, we both. Well, I grew up literally 3 or 4 miles from there, and I still live close. Producer lives within 3 or 4 miles from there, so it was right in our backyard. So we couldn't miss the opportunity to go on over there and check it out. For those of you who don't know, if you ever heard of the name Detmer, so you got Ty Detmer, BYU Heisman winning national championship quarterback and NFL quarterback, Ty Detmer, as well as Coy Detmer, his brother, also NFL quarterback, uh, are coaching the Somerset Bulldogs there, and they were gracious enough to allow Coach Mummy and the Caballeros host an open tryout out there. So it was a beautiful, beautiful high school stadium. I was thoroughly
They
impressed with it.
they've got quite the setup there. So good job on Somerset, not only with a great coaching staff, but beautiful facility as well. So I
Yeah.
agree.
So we're just gonna bust right into it. Of the about 35 or so players that are out there, we got 3 or 4 of them that were signed contracts with the team. So if you follow Caballeros on social media, they've been posting graphics with players signed with the team. So what they had was an open tryout, and then they had on the field team activities. And these 4 players that are listed in the second paragraph here: Colin Herrera, Jay Lee Ali, both at the wide receiver position, Sam Hayward at kicker, and Robert Martin at punter. All 4 of them got signed to the team essentially, and they got to stay afterwards and actually do on the field drills and activities with the other signed players within the Caballeros organization. I am working on a full roster breakdown, but they haven't actually like released a roster, so I'm going to have to go through a whole bunch of social media posts and start putting names and faces together and all that. That's going to come down the road a little ways. With these alternative leagues just starting, it's not like other teams where we have previous roster and previous player information to import and go with. We're creating everything from scratch, so just bear with us on that. We'll show some graphics with those players, some of their stats here in a little bit. But Also third paragraph in talking about the draft, how the team is going to be looking for depth on both sides of the ball. They're going to specifically look for defensive linemen to go along with their 8 selections while they're out there in Alabama. A quote from Stan Bedwell, the director of player personnel and the offensive coordinators, basically said he thought there was good talent on the field. Everybody worked hard. You can tell that everybody that was there wanted to be part of the team. He did mention other leagues, how there's so many leagues. He doesn't know where players are going to end up, where they're going to start from, where they're going to ultimately go. So I would imagine on the field, and I won't say names, but I'm pretty sure there was some players that have played in the UFL, the IFL, the AFL, and now the IFA are all kind of out there doing what they got to do to try to get their next shot. So it's pretty cool to see. We even have some players that have been on NFL training rosters out there. So great talent. Hal Mummy's the president of the team. He was there, definitely watching air raid. There was over 24, so over 2 dozen wide receivers there because they want to play in that spread offense. They want to get that camp invite. The season for the Caballeros are going to start on June 7th. Producer, anything to add on all that information before I go to the next page of the news briefing?
I think it was great to be there and watch those guys work, and we'll see that in the highlights. But yeah, I agree with you. All those guys put forth such an effort, and it was just great to see them in those drills and working out. Really enjoyed that experience.
Yeah, it was awesome deal to be a part of. So we had a great time out there. Uh, the gentleman who's going to be the social media relations guy is named David Morris. He's also probably going to be doing some social media for some of the other teams too. So it was great to get to meet him. He's the one that did this actual press release here, so it was awesome to be part of it. Uh, Here's another quote from Hal Mummy. They were pleased with the people that came out for the tryout. This was last Saturday on the 15th. 2 players were added to the cap rosters, and several of them were kind of on a reserve team. The Caballeros are one of 5, so going to be 6 total teams. Um, there will be one team in Mexico right now, and while we were there talking, this was on Saturday. They actually talked about having a meeting on Monday, the day of recording this, to start ironing out the exact schedule. So follow us on socials, follow the Caballeros on socials, follow the IFA on social. We should start getting a nailed down schedule here pretty quick for the 6 teams, and then they'll look to expand later as well. So one of the things that it's interesting that they made sure to make part of this news release is a quote right here from Coach Jack Welch. We'll have a little highlight of him earlier, a little info on him, but he says the players are going to work, eat, and play in San Antonio. None of this hub model, right? These guys are going to be here local. They even do social media posts with Caballeros around on the town. They're going to be part of the community. They want to be seen in the community. They want to give back to the community. So a little bit different, right? As the Caballeros go into staff in the preseason, they're going in with a roster of 50 people. So there you go, folks. There's your roster sizes. A little bit more news out of this press release. And then they're going to trim it down to 40 by game day, by the first game. So 50 training camp roster spots, 40 dress out game day spots. The first game will be against the Texas Pioneers. There's a little bit more news because up until now they were called the Dallas Pioneers, but evidently they're going to be playing down in the Austin area, a city named of Georgetown, which is just about an hour and a half north of where the Caballeros are going to be playing at UIW Stadium here in San Antonio. So we got a I-35 rivalry already coming together here for the Caballeros. Uh, June 7th kickoff on campus, Incarnate Word. They even got a time, 7:30 p.m. They're going to focus on night games because it is summer and it is Texas and it is hot. Uh, and last little bit here, the team looks like the potential to be a very strong candidate in an inaugural year of playing the IFA. Coach Welk added our preseason camp starts May 15th. So there's another little breaking news. May 15th, camp starts, and they look to finalize the roster at that time. So what a great turnout. So much information in that little press release. Sorry if I rambled, but there was 4 or 5 little tidbits there that we've kind of been waiting on to get out there to the fans of the future uh, semi-pro football team here in San Antonio. Another thing that's kind of crazy is they actually refer to themselves as semi-pro, not pro. different than other leagues, and they're actually pro becoming a feeder league to the NFL. How that's going to work, pretty much everybody knows the NFL's feeder league is basically college football. Some of the big boys, teams in the SEC and Big Ten, if you're following that news right now, fixing to completely railroad the college football playoff, but that's not what we're here to talk about. But so it's interesting to hear him talk about them wanting to be that feeder league as well, and who knows what this can grow into one day.
Yeah, lots of interesting news in there, and like you said, of course, there's still got so much to figure out, but I like a lot of that information. I find it interesting where they're going to have that other team play in that Austin area, that rivalry.
Glitch. First episode on the Caballero Corral. Sorry about that, folks.
That's right. To
Mhm.
have that rivalry, anytime anybody here in San Antonio, we get to beat the crap out of a team that's playing around in the Austin area, that always feels good. So I
Yeah,
like that.
it'll be a good little rivalry. So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and pop up our first graphic. We talked about some of the players that were signed. So here we got Kalen Herrera, one of the wide receivers that was signed. He played running back in high school, 2 seasons with Southwest Texas Bearcats, played 19 games, 47 receptions, 881 yards, and then 7 touchdowns. Also played 19 games. He put in stats as a kick returner. So, and in college. So, he's going to be one of those versatile players that's going to come in there. One of the ones that got signed on this camp here. So going on to the next player, one of my personal favorites, Jaleel Ali. Uh, he actually owns his own performance workout studio kind of deal where he's helping other players kind of learn the skills it needs to be a pro athlete, called Apex. Great guy. He was actually at the first uh, tryout that they had down here in the San Antonio area. Made the second one. He got signed. Good for him. He plays college ball at Colorado Mesa. Got drafted in the first round by the American Patriot League in 2019 and spent some time in college there at Angelo State. He has been signed. So welcome to the Caballero, sir. Definitely one of the fastest guys on the field, and had some great closing speed. They even put him in at cornerback. A lot of times with these tryouts and stuff, they'll put you in an unnatural position. Maybe they're trying to see what you're good at, what you're bad at, but then also it might have something to do with there being 35 players there, and just filling the roles on the field so that they can run some drills and coaches can get some tape on these guys. I will tell you before we get into the highlights and we show the video, if it looks like receivers are waiting on the ball a little bit, it's not the receiver's fault. So there was actually no quarterbacks there for the tryout. So they just had like a kicker that could throw the ball pretty good, and and another guy that just like I can throw the ball pretty good. So they weren't actually quarterbacks throwing to these wide receivers that are going to play. They do have a quarterback on their roster that's going to be pretty good for the Caballeros, and we'll talk about that in future episodes. Another player that was signed here, kicker out of Virginia. So here's a Division I ball player, 19 for 19 on extra points, 4 of 8 on field goals with a longest of 36. One of those guys that definitely has that short game down, but needs some more kicks and some pressure kicks to get some more game tape, so maybe he can get that opportunity later. So anything on those players stand out for you there, producer?
Well, as the season progresses, as it begins, we get to see what that final roster looks like and how they play. Of course, we'll have more on them there, but I'll just say I'm excited for all these guys. They all put forth that effort there at the tryout, and so that these guys were able to make it. Great on them, particularly for a kicker. It was a really windy day. It was
Mhm.
the weather wasn't in the best shape, and so if a guy was out there kicking and able to impress coaches enough to make it on the team, man, that guy that's impressive. And so all I can say at this point is that I'm very excited for all these guys that were able to make it.
Yeah, yeah, good point. The grass was slick too, right? So, yeah, it was a hard day for kickers, but he did good enough to impress. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into a couple of coach highlights here. Just pop up those graphics. So first we got Ronnie Vikarlik. If I pronounce that improperly, I apologize, but I do have enough stats on him where I think I can save face. This man has over 44 years of football coaching experience. Tons of experience from Texas A&M Commerce. I'm going to put you on the spot. Alternative football player, the one of the most well-known alternative football players in its history of spring football, went to college at Texas A&M Commerce. You know who it is, producer?
Oh man, not off
Yeah.
the top of my head.
All right, the GOAT Luis Perez from Texas A&M Commerce.
Okay,
So,
okay.
but anyways, he spent time with Rice, Houston, SMU, Oklahoma State, the Buffalo Bills, Tennessee Titans, up in the CFL. He was even in the XFL, where he worked as an O-line coach when Luis Perez was a quarterback of the Guardians. So, Coach Vic Cleric has tons of experience. He was in the Bills offensive line coach in 2002, where he paved the way for a 4,300 passing yard season for Drew Bledsoe and a 1,400 rushing yard season for Travis Henry and a 1,200 yard receiving season for Eric Moles. So you can see that he's worked with talented NFL players. His first college coaching job came at the University of Houston back in 1988. So this guy's definitely been around. He's also coached, like we said, Oklahoma State for 2 seasons, Middle Tennessee State. Graduated from Southwest Texas, now known as Texas State, where the Bobcats are at now. Which they were, if you watch college football, had a great team this year. And from 1983 to 1984, he was a defensive line coach at Spring Branch High School in Houston, becoming the defensive coordinator for Marble Falls. He also served as offensive coordinator at Clear Lake, winning a district championship in '94. What else you want to know about Coach Vicleric other than this man has been coaching for 44 years, producer? What do you think about that resume?
The amount of coaching experience that we're going to have on this team is amazing. So
Yeah,
we should expect great things
yeah, for
out of these
sure.
guys.
Going down the line there, Coach Welch there. He's no slouch. He's no spring chicken to spring football. Are we calling it spring football or summer football? I guess we should call this a summer football league, right? Because it definitely ain't
That
spring.
that's what it is.
Yeah, so we're gonna start referring to the Caballeros and the IFA as summer ball. How about that? Summer ball. But Coach Welch spent 35 years coaching. He spent 5 seasons with junior college up at Fort Scott in Kansas. Then he moved to Kansas State staff for a year before coming to Texas in 1994, where him and his brother Jack Welch coached there up at Copper's Cove. Uh, One of the things about Tracy Welch's claim to fame is he was a coach in Lake Woolton High School, and he was the all-time winningest coach in that school's history. We're going to break another little bit of news to you right here. Coach Welch, along with Coach Vicleric, along with Coach Hal Mummy, all, you ready for this? Share a little bit of ownership of the team. So when this Caballeros were first announced, they had a quote unquote team owner. Not sure what happened there. Things change. It's a lot of flux for summer ball, especially a league getting started. But now you got three coaches. I don't know the percentage of who owns what and all that stuff. I just know they all got an ownership stake in the team, and so they all have a reason for this team to succeed.
Yeah,
What do you think about coaches being part owners?
yeah, it's just going to mean more.
Yeah.
When you're that invested in it, it's got to just mean more.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, that's all the stats I got on players right now. Like I said, we're going to try to come up with rosters. And before we get out of here, we're going to just play a short little video, put together some of the highlights. This video we're going to share does not need to be credited to anybody. Me and producer captured this video on site there at the camp tryouts. So let's watch some players putting in some drills. Huh? We a little sound on here. You ready, producer?
Let's go.
Let's roll it, baby.
it was not an easy feat. So
Yeah. What a great day. What an awesome thing for San Antonio. Can't wait to see the Caballeros on the field coming this summer football in San Antonio. With that, we're going to get it out of here. We don't have a saying for the Caballeros yet. But right now we're going to just say Viva Caballeros. What do you think about that, producer? We'll get a little Viva Caballero out here.
Viva Caballeros.
Thanks for joining us out here in the Horse Corral. On behalf of United Football Media, we're going to get on out of here.